Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Bratton, founder of Bratton Law Group here in Southern New Jersey, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris, where we provide you with information in the areas of legal, financial, and healthcare advocacy. I'm honored to have my guest on today for a second time. Dr. Katie O'Shea graduated from Thomas Jefferson University in 2006 with her master's and 2008 with her doctorate. From there, Katie pursued her MBA, graduated in 2010 from Holy Family University. Katie has clinical experience in acute care, inpatient rehab, home care, and outpatient settings. She found her clinical passion in working with the geriatric population and is a board certified geriatric clinical specialist by the American Board of Physical Therapy Specialists, and also a certified dementia practitioner appointed by the National Council of Certified Dementia Practitioners. She's an active member of the American Physical Therapy Association and a certified e-speaker. She currently operates her company, Therapy Edge Consulting, and works as an adjunct faculty with Rutgers University. Welcome back, Katie. How are you?
Good, Chris. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
So let's have a little fun today. Let's talk about exercise.
Perfect.
Holidays are fast approaching, and I want to get your opinion on how people can stay healthy through the holidays. Sometimes we tend to get a little lax around the holidays, and just in general when the weather turns a little bit colder in both diet and exercise department. So I wanted to touch on that a little and see if you can help people stay on track.
Sounds good. Yeah, COVID-19 has already gotten a lot of us, so we don't want to make it a COVID-19 squared.
That's right. It's probably a good idea. A lot of injuries can occur when we aren't quite warmed up enough, especially as we get older. So do you have any tips on how to properly warm up or how to stretch differently when the weather gets colder?
You know, it's something that we all should be doing, even just getting out of bed in the morning, right? We've spent 8 hours. You would never get in your car and just hit the gas and go to 100, right? You
Right.
might, what's your car going to do? It's going to stall and be like, no, thank you. Same thing with our bodies. So before you get out of bed, just some general stretching. Interlace those fingers up over your head, down to your sides. Get that body moving, get your lungs moving, get everything moving. Bring those legs up, roll them side to side, just to kind of wake your body up a little bit. Then go about your day, right? So that's just general life. But definitely when we're exercising, especially when it is colder outside, we want to really spend those good 3 to 5 minutes doing a warm-up exercise. A lot of people think, you have to do specific activities or specific stretches to warm up. It can be say you're going to go for a run. It can be just walking at a slower pace before you do your run. Say you're going to be on the elliptical. It can really be just going at a lower resistance, lower speed before you get into your actual workout and exercise. So it's looking at what you're doing and just doing it at a lower intensity before you really get into your core, your interval training.
Yeah, so that was going to be one of my questions. Should we do some type of active stretching or just cold stretching or some kind of dynamic warm up?
So active stretching is always the best. Our bodies are meant to be active. We shouldn't be doing ballistic stretching or bouncing type of stretching. That's how we tear our muscles. We want slow, sustained holds. That's where we're going to allow our muscles to really get that slide that they need to warm them up, give them elasticity, get all the good juices flowing to allow them to work at their peak performance and not give you an injury later. Because what happens if you don't get those muscles lubricated, they get little micro tears in them. And that's where we get injuries. So a lot of people fall into a trap of, I didn't warm up today. Nothing happened. Cool. Which you're going to be okay for one day, right? It's the same as if you go and eat an entire cake. You're not going to see 5 pounds on the scale tomorrow. But when you do that repetitively, you get micro trauma and micro damage in that muscle. And that's where you all of a sudden have an injury and you go to your doctor and you say, I don't know where this happened from, but all of a sudden I can't lift my shoulder up. And it's that repetitive micro trauma over time.
Yeah, and I think also if you have kind of fallen out of your routine and you haven't exercised in a while, don't try to jump back in and pick up right where you left off. I think you're gonna have to ease back into it a little bit.
You do 100%. And especially if you're starting at a place where exercise wasn't your thing, or your exercise maybe was walking around the office, you are in a different conditions level. So a lot of people think I have to do an hour activity or exercise, an hour at the gym for it to count. And that's not the case. You can do low woo, shorter burst duration of activity and still get it to count. So for someone who has been sedentary, maybe a 10-minute walk throughout their house at a quick pace, or holding some heavy newspaper to give them some resistance, that might be your activity to get your heart up. And then you slowly, gradually increase 11 minutes, 12 minutes, so forth and so on. Your goal should be 30 minutes 3 times a week, but you don't have to start there. And what's important is that you start where you will get to that goal. But a lot of people would think, I'm going to jump in, going to go all in. And then what happens? Either we injure ourselves, we get DOMS, that delayed onset muscle soreness, where you can't even get up from a chair without crying, right? Oh my quad. And that's where people fall off the wagon, because it doesn't feel good. And we're smart. We're not going to do things to our body where that they don't feel good. So.
Exactly. And what about when the seasons change? Should we change our activity routine at all, or should we adjust it?
It really depends on the person. If you're an outside exerciser, a lot of long distance runners, they are going to naturally adapt, right? And they're going to layer. Layering's huge if you're going to be doing activity outside, because you're going to start cold, then you're going to warm up. And then you want to have dry clothes for after you're done whatever activity where you're going to be sweating, and so you stay warm afterwards. So if you're looking to do something of that nature, you're probably already into that. If you were someone who was out walking in your community and now it's too cold, or ice and snow come, you might want to change your activity. Where before, as a physical therapist, I would encourage people to go to the mall and walk. We're not doing that this year. We're not going to the mall and walking this year. We're not going to go walk around Target. So it's finding different ways. Do you have a section of your house you can walk back and forth in? Up and down the stairs, that's great exercise if your knees are in good condition. Great cardio, great strengthening, especially the pace you do things at. So it really, looking at kind of where you are, what you're comfortable with, we definitely should be adjusting as needed.
Yeah. So I have a gym in my house, but it's in a room that's above the garage, and I don't have heat ducts in there. Like I don't have the central AC and the heat. They don't go into that room. So sometimes when it's really cold, it could be it's a little bit tough to get up and knowing that I'm going to go into that cold room. So I got to bundle up a little bit before I start working out. But do you have any tips on how to stay active when it is really cold outside, or if the gym's shut down again?
Yeah. Google, I know a great the HVAC guy if you need one. But that type of situation, can you get a space heater that you can plug in? So you can kind of just take that chill off before you go into a cold setting like that. Maybe jog in place for 30 seconds, right? Just get your blood flowing so you're a little bit warmer, so that punch in the face of cold air isn't as awful. But, wait, let me go back to your question. So, certainly going to Google, right? Google's one of our best friends, especially folks who maybe don't have a home gym. Look, Planet Fitness, if you're a Planet Fitness member, they have so many great free online classes still that you can follow along within just your living room. And they do everything from gentle stretching to high intensity training programs. So there's that. Google APTA, which is the American Physical Therapy Association, has great resources for patients and families and clients to maintain their health and to stay active. Look around your house, find something that has a little bit of weight to it. A gallon of milk is about 5 to 8 pounds, depending, how full it is. That's a great weight. A lot of people, if they're not into bodybuilding, you really don't need these heavy 20, 30 pound dumbbells, kettlebells, weight plates. You can use just a good 5 to 8 pound kind of object. Can of soup is 1 pound. If you're someone starting out, can of soup's a beautiful thing. And just move your body, go through every motion. A lot of us, I think, are familiar, lifting up, overhead press, bicep curls, out to the side. Every way we move our body is really how we want to strengthen those muscles. It's because that's really what's going to give us that health we need to make sure we're not setting ourselves up for a rotator cuff injury when we're reaching overhead or reaching behind our back or something of that nature. Again, walking is one of the best exercises for your whole body. If you've got some room in your house, it's not always the most entertaining, but that dining room table, doing laps around the dining room table is one of the best things. With my geriatric clients, that's something I do pretty frequently. Gets boring. There's no way to put it. Throw some good music on and make the best of it. But that's, really just give yourself a timer and, let that timer play out, whether it's music or you put some, you go to get coffee, but a high value activity at the end is your reward. That does help too.
Yeah. Speaking of rotator cuff injuries, I think you and I need to talk maybe after.
Okay.
So my cousin lives in Chicago, and he
brutal cold.
This was probably last a winter or two ago, and he just went outside to shovel his driveway, and he slipped on some ice in the driveway and had a pretty significant injury that required surgery. So do you have any tips regarding considerations people should make when they are exercising outdoors, especially in the cold weather?
Yeah, it's a great thing. Black ice will eventually be here again. Knowing where you're going, you won't go into the woods at night without a flashlight. So looking for places where things are shoveled, paths are clear. Can you go to a track at a school? Are those going to be plowed this year and taken care of? We really don't know yet. But don't chance it for the thought of, oh, I've got to run today, and then you end up with a fractured ankle, back, shoulder injury, what have you. Go a little bit slower, especially if it's an area you're not familiar with, and kind of scan. Just always be visually scanning. Maybe an earbud in only one ear, so you're a little more aware of your environment and your surroundings, and try to keep yourself as safe as possible. Whether it's something that you can set up something in your backyard, like a little circuit training bench or something of that nature, if you feel the need to be outside and you're someone who likes the cold. That I have seen people do that. That's not for the faint of heart. You will not see me outside lifting weights in the middle of a blizzard. But it really just comes down to wearing good footwear, and then just being as safe as you can in the environment. Some things we can't prevent, but definitely, if you know that it's been a really cold night overnight, don't maybe go running if you know there's also potential for ice and black ice and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And that's a good point too, with shoveling, and we're not at that point of the year yet, hopefully. But, making sure people take the time to warm up before they shovel. We don't realize how much of an exercise and activity shoveling is because we only do it a couple months a year, some years. But that's really weight training. Good body mechanics is important, making sure you're warmed up, because that's where we see, unfortunately, so many heart attacks, because people are just holding their breath and doing all the, doing activity their body's not used to, and they really kind of get themselves in trouble.
Yeah. Also, it feels like, I don't know if it's true or not, but it feels like we sweat a little less in the colder months when I'm exercising, working out. Number one, is that accurate? And number two, do we need to hydrate as much in the winter as in the hotter summer months when you can really feel that sweat?
So your hydration levels need to stay the same year round. What actually happens, the sweating piece, you do sweat a little bit less because your body's trying to maintain that heat. So you can actually kind of get yourself into a scenario if you're not having warm clothes to change into after an exercise, workout, or you're finding yourself outside for a long period just in kind of that damp cold. That's where you really set yourself up for catching a cold, and all those damp and, not really good for your muscles and your joints. So you definitely do want to stay hydrated. You don't need to go adding extra calories from like Gatorade and, all those things in for just a generalized workout. But definitely just regular good old water, you really want to stay hydrated with both during and after your activity. And try to give yourself some protein after your activity as well, your exercise, because that's really what's going to help your muscles recover. And if you've done any weight training, that's going to help all the good things in your body, they work off the protein. And so that'll help you kind of get the most out of your exercise.
Yeah, that's an entirely different rabbit hole we can go down to. That's an entirely different discussion. But I know you're busy, so I want to thank you for joining me today. Can you let everybody know how they can get in touch with you if they have any questions or if they need help?
Absolutely. You can always reach out to me through you, but my website directly is www.therapyedgeconsulting.com, or you can give me a call or a text at 856-452-1532.